Hi everyone. My name is Austin Reddington. I'm a member of Team Sigil. I mostly play Illusionist. I play Dromai, Prism, and then hopefully now Enigma. Um, I come from LOR, so I used to play Legends of Runeterra, where I won a seasonal. I started playing Flesh and Blood about a year ago, in early 2023. Um, Took Dromai to results at second place, Battleheart in St. Louis, first place, the PTI event, popularizing the Hedgehog, and the mid-range Dromai style build that runs. It's kind of a hybrid of a red line, but also plays a full defensive package. So you may have seen that list taken to good results by Nick Tran at the Dallas Calling top 8 as the one seed there. I've worked with Guy Cohen on lists before, and the Hedgehog list was eventually the list that would go on to win the Pro Tour. Um, Obviously, Arthur made his own changes and stuff, but that shell I kind of created back in mid summer of 2023 and popularized it. Quick accolades as well from Flesh and Blood. I've played in all three majors. I've played at Pro Tour Baltimore, Worlds, and then Pro Tour LA on Dromai and Prism, going to a 6-2, 7-1, and 6-2 result across those events. And then I eventually went up to 26th global elo before they combined everything. So, yeah, definitely one of the better Lucius players I think in the scene. I'm pretty active on the Discords and stuff. Um, yeah, so been pretty fortunate with my Flesh and Blood career so far. Haven't played as many events as I would like, so hopefully still expecting, hopefully trying to get more good results out there in the future. But yeah, I wanted to take a minute today to just kind of go over this game. I hope both sides can learn something. I've been playing Prism since January of this year, so about 5 months now. I put a lot of time into the deck. I have a lot of thoughts on these matchups, so hopefully this can be a learning exercise for both players. So without further ado, let's jump into this. This is the Raiden list. So I want to just take a minute here to look through this list. Obviously, this is from Josh's side, so we're not sure what kind of list exactly the Prism's playing, but key things to note in this matchup, our poppers are incredibly important. So we've got 3 of Celestial Cataclysm over here in the yellow, 3 Bolting Blades, and then important to note, we don't see any Command and Conquerors here right now. I can't remember if they actually show up in the game, but yeah, no Command and Conquerors, so really we just have these 6 poppers. If it's an open deck list, that's really important to know. If it's a closed deck list, we don't know as much. I'm a big advocate in the Rapture plan into Boltyn, and so having that extra 3 poppers in Command and Conquer really take the matchup from being more evenish to being heavily Boltyn favored. But without the 3 Command and Conquerors, the matchup is there is potential for the Prism to win. So, but Boltyn is historically a bad matchup for Prism because most of Prism's cards that block are all attacks. They don't play many D-reacts, so they can pretty much never block your damage unless they give you go again easily. So, yep, everything blocks too. So with that in mind, let's jump into the game. Um, yeah, so Prism's gonna be up to playing a lot of 4-card hands most of the time. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to maximize getting cards into our soul. So I'm going to play this at 2 times speed, and then I'll pause it when things come up. Um, so, yeah. So we draw Cataclysm in our opening hand as Josh. I didn't exactly see, but there looks like there's an Erudition over there. This is a really good equipment suite. I really like it. Starting with Dreamweavers and some other stuff. I personally am a big advocate of the Wrath, Angelic Wrath. So I like partnering up Angelic Wrath plus a Herald of Erudition to get a big swing. So here, we get this nice attacker for 3. Got a few options here. Interesting mind game that happens when he says no blocks. So here, important to note, you have a couple options as the Prism player. So one, it's important to note that we have Merciful Retribution in our hand. So he's trying to play that out. We are wasting a card though. It would be pretty easy to block for 3. Obviously, it would only block for 2. So we pump the attack to 5, and then Beacon would pump it to 6. Sorry, it would pump it to 5 here. So we could pump it to 5 here. We take 2 damage instead of taking 4 damage. So we would essentially we'd save 2 life, and we can still cast the Merciful Retribution, get it down on the board. And this gives him less information about our hand because we're only leaking 1 damage. So he'll be less likely to use Snapdragon, so we can play the Merciful. The downside of this, obviously, is we don't get to keep the Herald of Erudition. I think the Herald of Erudition is not as important as you think because Boltyn is representing 4 pieces of armor. So Erudition without Wrath is pretty much never going to hit. They're always just going to give us a 3 block and armor, and even if they'll also have poppers pretty frequently at the time. So personally, I prefer to save the 2 life here and block with a card and then burst out Merciful after that. Because now it's pretty obvious that we have a Merciful in our hand and our opponent can do this. So we're going to skip through this. I wish I could turn off ads, but I can't. So yeah, we're going to turn this on very, very quietly so we can maybe hear a tiny bit in the background. But let's see if I can get this just quiet enough. So he thinks for a little bit here about doing this. Okay, I'm going to keep this muted actually. So we'll skip through a lot of this. He decides not to snap it. Sure enough, Merciful comes down. We're deciding on pitch. And then we end up pitching... Yeah, so we end up pitching the Erudition and the Triumph. So I like Triumph in this matchup a lot because it turns off CNCs, which if open deck list, we know Josh isn't playing, so it's not as important. But also, just things to keep in mind, Triumph with a Halo still gets past 7 power poppers. So that's really important to know if you throw a Triumph. And sure enough, we kept the Triumph in hand. I would have really liked to block with one of these cards. Specifically, I probably would have blocked with one of the yellow Triumphs, or honestly, blocking with yellow Erudition is not that bad, because when you block with yellow Erudition, you get it in your graveyard, guaranteed, so that whenever another Herald hits, you can always put Figment of Rebirth onto the field and guarantee draw Erudition on the next hand. So you can set up a line where, like, you hit the 2 Heralds, you pull out War, you pull out Erudition, and now you're guaranteed to throw Erudition for 6 on the next turn, which can be a big payoff. So, obviously getting Merciful Retribution down is really, really good here, because now we can throw Heralds without having to worry. So this pop right here. Personally, I'm not a big fan of popping this here. So you have a couple options here. You can choose to pop this, or you can choose to cover with armor. If you're going to give armor, you probably give 2 3 blocks and the chest piece, and then when the other one comes in. So what I think I would recommend doing here is with the Merciful on the field, ideally I think you want to block 12 and clear this Merciful. So we're looking, in my opinion, just to block the War Tune, block the next Herald that comes out, and then kill the Merciful. So I'd actually would almost prefer to... You could either block 9 on the War Tune and then pop the second attack and then swing Raiden into the Merciful. That's a pretty reasonable line. Or you could choose to... you could choose to block 6, give armor, pop the next attack, and then play Spirit, swing into Merciful, and Arsenal the last card. You could Arsenal the Take Flight or something else if you wanted as well. Because, we know, our opponent knows we have Spirit of Irina. He doesn't know whether it's in hand or in Arsenal, but it becomes pretty obvious where it is. And then here, we see the Punish right now comes in with this Herald of Triumph. I believe this also comes in for 7. That might be a yellow strip. Let's see. Looks like we're good in block 9. So this also comes in for 7. So a quite effective turn. Personally, here, I really strongly would choose to flip. So right here, our opponent has just laid down their entire hand. We know that Spirit of Arena is in the arsenal. So because of that, we can flip our Angel for free. So we're completely free to flip our Herald of Erudition right now, and there's no way that they can ever kill it. So we should almost always be doing that. Rapture is turned on this turn because of Merciful Retribution. In this matchup, you want to be getting as much value out of Rapture as possible. And we know he's probably going to swing Raiden into our Merciful, so we're going to get the extra soul that we need. So it's just pretty much always worth it here to flip this Erudition. So I think we're leaving a lot of value on the table. We're actually just leaving 2 value on the table here pretty reasonably. And as you'll see in the next hand, we have another Merciful now. We have another Merciful that we haven't even used. And so, once again, I think we're leaving a lot of value on the table. Because this hand could have been swing Erudition, draw 2, throw a War Tune. If it gets popped, flash in Merciful, swing another Angel, or we could have swung another Herald. So we already have a lot more play. And this game would almost be over, actually, at this point, because we would have an extra 4 damage and more than enough resources to flash in Merciful and double Herald this turn. So it'd be pretty backbreaking, if I'm honest. Plus, we're seeing more cards. So Josh is thinking here for a minute. He's going to decide to pop this. Popping it's fine here. Just things to be aware of is, yeah, this is fine. We're expecting another herald to come in on the back end. So it's pretty fine to block with Soul Shield here. Don't hate it. The nice part about doing this is, the bad part about doing this is now when they throw another herald, now when they throw another herald and we pop it, they'll be able to throw a third herald. So sometimes it's actually better to pop the first herald when they throw a second herald, then use Soul Shield, and they don't never have the option to throw a third herald. So something to be aware of is it's actually sometimes better to pop the first herald. That way the second one doesn't have natural go again. Versus if you throw herald pop, they can throw a third herald with footsteps. So that's something to keep in mind, especially when they have Soraya on the field. They actually sometimes want you to pop the second herald because that lets them use their hand in a clean way. So here, we just take the 4 damage. We do need to kill this angel ASAP. So that's important to note, and especially with this hand, it's going to be quite hard to do that. We're going to pause here for a minute. So this hand, a note from Josh's side, also really has a lot of trouble killing this angel. So we cannot afford to leave this this Soraya on the field for much longer. So here we get a pop, Flash and Merciful. This is really good. This is really, really good. So from here, Prism is in a very, very commanding position. Here, once again, we're going to go pull out another Figment. Here, probably going to either grab... yeah, you've got a lot of options here. Things to think about, you can grab War to try to come in for some breakpoints, and we've already seen 2 Cataclysms. So we've already seen 2 Cataclysms, or sorry, 2 poppers, 2 of the 6 poppers. So I don't hate grabbing a War, trying to go look for extra damage. Also don't hate grabbing Spectral Shields as, yep, Spectral Shield is a really good option here. We can turn on Merciful. I don't love Spectral Shield here because right now with Tempo, I actually want to flip this and get 4 life again. Once again, we're not using Rapture efficiently here. So this turn, had we flipped Erudition on our opponent's turn for free, we would not have had to pay into it, which means we probably would have been able to keep an entire extra card for Arsenal. So here we've basically lost an entire card of value by not flipping our Erudition on his turn, and once again, we're not flipping our Protection, which honestly, he has a 2-card hand. We know that there is Spirit of Irina in his arsenal. So his hand is pretty much non-functional, and we can expect it just to kill Merciful. So it's really easy here for us to flip, and then for us to still go on a turn of swing Soraya, swing Protection, and throw a Herald, all on a hand, which is just really, really good. I mean, we're throwing 15 damage on this turn. So here, once again, really would have appreciated flipping Protection. We just get so much value. Yeah. Honestly, this is probably why I would have grabbed War as well, just because we don't quite need the value right now, and usually you want to use Protection to make the Spectral Shields. So importantly to note, we've already seen the blue Wraths, so I like to try to partner up my Eruditions with my Wrath, if possible. We've obviously just pitched a Wrath, so it might be a little bit harder to do, but I really like going Erudition plus Dreamweavers plus Wrath to guarantee the hit. Also from the Boltyn side, if you have D-Reacts, it's actually really good to bring in D-Reacts in this matchup because it's a great arsenal target. It lets you get around Erudition really cleanly. You can, if you have like 1 block on your Iron Song versus, you can block 1 and you sink below from Arsenal. A Soul Shield from Arsenal completely covers a Herald of Erudition while giving you Soul. So just things to be in mind. This is really good. We're going to block 5 and use our balance. Specifically so that we can cash in the balance when this Soraya swings and banishes 2. So this is really good from Josh. I can't quite see exactly what's in his hand. Our priority number 1 needs to be killing this Erudition. This Erudition has run away for far, far too long, and so this really needs to go. So yeah, take the 4, definitely correct here. And let's see what we decide to do. So, important to note, we basically can use 1 more card. So here we're probably just going to throw another Herald. Whatever comes in for the most damage, probably. Yeah, So we're going to throw this red War Tune. Personally, I don't love passing Mirage at this point in the game. The problem is we want to be going Herald, Angel, Herald most of the game. And so this passing Mirage is going to be really awkward to get down because we're pretty much going to have to go Herald, Angel, and then end with the passing Mirage. And we've already seen 2 of his poppers. So the passing Mirage is not going to do a whole lot. Josh's line back into the game is going to be blocking heavily and then hoping to get tempo back with a popper. Here you see a Soul Shield used and Armor Block. Personally, the Armor Block is pretty risky here because we've only seen 1 Erudition, and every other Erudition, now, if he sees an Erudition, he can just go Erudition, Dreamweavers, and we pretty much are forced to give him the rest of our armor. So, personally, I don't think that blocking that War Tune is essential, but we are denying Rapture value. So it is reasonable. This is an incredibly poor use of Halo. Just something to be a note. This is 100% right from Josh. Send the take flight into the Soraya. This is, yeah, basically all this does here is this negates 3 value. Because what this has done, right, is this has basically prevented the Raiden from swinging at the Prism's face. It has no other relevance to anything on the board state. So this is just a really, really poor use of Halo. We're basically spending an entire card, because we still have to pitch a card for Halo. So we spend an entire card to prevent 3 life. The same as if we had blocked for 3. So this Halo is incredibly, incredibly below rate. We're just stopping a Raiden swing. And honestly, last turn had we flipped our Angel of Protection, this easily could have been take 4 on the Soraya, they swing Raiden for 3, and we just give him a 3 block and use a Spectral Shield to cover. We keep our protection, and we can still go Herald, Angel, Herald. And we know Spirit of Irina is in the arsenal, so there's no way that he can ever do any follow-up damage besides play out the Spirit. So basically we spent an entire card and our Halo to block 3. We didn't even get to use the extra floating to cover anything. So just once again, a really bad, poor use of Halo that you will see come back to bite the Prism player later in the game. Halo should always be used for at least 5 or 6 points of value. That was pretty much used for no value at all. So in this matchup, I think the best use of Halo is either to stop a 5-card hand by shooting your own Angel to get the Figment of Triumph to shut down Go again and make them use extra soul, which might not be relevant this game because they have so much extra soul. But it can be useful like on a V of the Vanguard turn, where before we get to the reaction step, you can flash in Triumph, and if they don't have a pump like Courageous Steel Hand, you completely stuff their entire turn, unless they have Snapdragons, which Josh wisely has brought Snapdragons in. But yeah, Triumph is really good. I also like Triumph on offense, because you throw a Herald of Triumph, they pop for 7, which is 6, and then you use Halo to guarantee the on-hit, which can be really valuable. So that's typically how I like to use it in this matchup. It also turns in on Rapture for free on your turn, and gets you Card and Soul. Yeah, just not a great use. I don't like it there. Here, we're just... so this turn, what you'll notice is... So yeah, for our turn, we have now... Where did this flip come from? So yeah, so here, we now spend an entire extra card to flip this protection. If you remember earlier in the game, I said we could have just flipped this for free. So we've now wasted another card of value. So we've basically given up 6 to 7 points of value already this game. 3 or 4 from the Halo, and another 3 or 4 from... Actually, we've given up 3 cards this game. We've given up 1 from the Halo, we've given up 1 card from not flipping protection for free with Rapture, and 1 card for not flipping for free with the Erudition. So, based on what we have, personally, I would really value just throwing Erudition for 5 here, stripping all the armor that they have. Because you go Dreamweavers, throw Erudition, they're forced to give you the rest of their armor, and then you can play out a passing Mirage. I think it's a pretty reasonable line. And if they're not willing to give you all the blocks, obviously you can still run wild, still swing an Angel, still play the passing Mirage, and still end with an Arsenal. So, yeah, I think this is a kind of a poor use. Yeah, going to Soul 0 at this point in the game is fine. So we definitely want to make the Spectral Shields, but yeah, just not the greatest use of our resources this game. So here in Josh's hand we have this Banneret, which I'm assuming we're going to charge here. So this is going to come at. So this, I think, so this is I think a misplay from Josh. Is I'm pretty sure he sends this um, at the angel. The problem with sending this at the angel is yes, you guarantee the card draw, but this taking 3 damage doesn't really matter much unless you're going to send the Raiden into this as well. So this is now at 1 life. So from this place, we should always send the Raiden at the angel because the angel has ward 4. And so if we send Raiden at face, the angel's still going to eat the entire thing. But we give them the chance to block with 1 card if they would like. So here what I really would have liked to do, especially with knowing we have Lumina in this hand, is I really would like to throw the Bolt of Courage at our opponent's face. They're probably going to give us the 3 Spectral Shields. Then we're able to play Lumina Ascension and then target the Angel, because it comes in for 4, guarantee the life gain, and efficiently clear it. So we're able to basically get 3 extra damage this turn by sending the Bolt of Courage. And if they give the Angel to us, then that's fine. We still get to play Lumina and threaten the on-hit as well. So here, because we've already used Snapdragons, so another thing to note is with this hand, we actually did not need to use Snapdragons. We could have played the Spirit of Arena first, sent the Bolt of Courage at face or at the Angel, and then flashed in the Lumina that we had in our hand to get the action point back. And so here we actually have 2 action points. I think Josh slightly misunderstands it and thinks we only have 1, but it's not the biggest deal. We end up wasting a soul. But we actually have 2 action points this turn because we have the Snapdragons and the Lumina. But yeah, Bolt of Courage should have probably gone face. And then this could have killed the Angel to guarantee the on-hit. Or, right, if we had sent the Bolt of Courage face, we could have then snapped it, sent the Raiden at the face, and then double flashed in the Lumina to get the hit and still get the soul. Luckily, we're doing pretty good here. We're able to get some good damage in. Lumina really is how you win this matchup. As the Boltyn player, you really need to make the most of these turns. So this is really good. We're buying a lot of tempo back from this place. Typically, as the Prism player, you just have to take your beats and eat this damage here. So, as I said, first one, you probably use the 3 Spectral Shields. Second one, you're probably just taking 1. They get the soul. And then the next 2, you're probably just eating. So you're going to take a lot of damage here, but that's okay. Here, really important to note, that's the 3rd popper we've seen this game. We've seen the Cataclysm from earlier, the Bolting Blade from earlier, and that's the 3rd popper. So really important to note. Here we're going to say no blocks again. So now we really need to call back as Prism, because we were down Halo, we've lost our whole board of Figments pretty much. We have no soul, and we're down in life. And yeah, it's not. This is why Boltyn's a bad matchup, is because 1 good turn and Boltyn can completely flip the tables on us. So. And then, yeah, this is totally fine. Send the light with way into the passing mirage. So we want to keep our poppers up. Did I miss something? Let me see. This other one hit. And yeah, so this is the other Cataclysm. Yep, so that's the 4th popper. So that's important to note, is we've now seen 4 poppers. So from the Prism side, we really need to start disrespecting these poppers. We're about halfway through the game. It's about turn 5 or 6, I want to say. And they've seen 4 of their 6 poppers. We haven't seen any Command and Conquers. So at this point, we just have to stop respecting them. So we just need to be throwing Heralds. If there is Command and Conquer, I would, we should be using our Dreamweavers on our Air Editions and stuff. So this is really good. We have this nice red Triumph. Ideally, we want to be going Herald, Angel, Herald. So on a 5-card hand, that looks like Herald, Angel, and then followed by another Herald. So this is really good for us. We get the last piece of armor. We have the Angelic Wrath to back it up. So we get the on-hit. So we're going to grab our Figment for free. So here, because we just got the last piece of armor, I really like Rebirth here. I think this is a really good pick. So grabbing Rebirth is really good. Go grab Air Edition, put it on top of the deck. This is really, really good. We're going to set up for a Dreamweaver's turn next turn. So here, personally, I think we've got a lot of options. Our opponent's keeping 2 cards, so when our opponent is keeping 2 cards, it's going to be really easy for them to block for 3, and then if we play an aura, they can just swing their Raiden into it. So we have this Pierce Reality in hand, so I don't love playing. So personally, I think I would do one of 2 lines. Personally, I really value flipping and swinging over this. So I would rather flip and swing an Angel, swing for 4, and make them keep cards. Because if you don't let Boltyn keep cards, sorry, if we flip and swing our Angel for 4, Boltyn is forced to keep cards to then try to kill our Angel. So I'd be much happier to flip and swing our Angel for 4, and then we can either play out the Pierce Reality, which I think I would do in this situation, or we can just Arsenal it for another turn. So things to keep in mind. Yeah, because Boltyn's going to have a hard time giving it go again if it's not a specific card like a. Well, actually, Boltyn's going to have a really hard time giving it go again unless it's a very specific card that gives +1 when you charge a yellow card. So personally, I would have liked flipping an Angel, swinging it for 4, and then play the Pierce Reality. I also don't hate simply swinging the Angel and arsenaling either Herald of Protection or the Pierce Reality. But basically, you spend 2 cards for 6, you get no on hits, or you could spend 1 card for 4. So it's better just to send 1 card for 4 than it is to spend 2 cards for 6. And once again, we have had our Herald hit this turn, and we're not using Imperium Rapture. So once again, we're leaving a full 2 value on the table by not flipping one of these Figments for free. Especially once he blocks 6, we should always be flipping one of these Angels, because now we could go swing an Angel and double War Tune, for example. So, important to note too, if Boltyn decided to let that last Herald hit, we would have been forced to shuffle our deck, which means we would not be drawing Erudition this turn. So that's even a consideration to make. If we want to draw Erudition this turn, it's actually better for us not to throw another Herald there, because we're going to be forced to shuffle the deck and lose this Herald of Erudition that we put on top. So this is also why I don't love using our armor too early in the game, because when these Eruditions now come through, we're forced to give up our Tunic, and luckily we drew a Sink Below. But very easily this could have hit and won the game for the Prism player. So, yeah, here, as you notice, right, this turn, if we would have had an Angel on the field, this turn could have also been swing an Angel for 4 and then make them clear a board. We can Arsenal the Triumph, and we can go next, and we don't get punished by a Pauper this turn. So we end up getting punished by a Pauper that we didn't need to get punished by. And they would still have 4 extra life. So, and also, if we had used Halo, we could now be throwing these Triumphs and be getting around the Paupers. So, just little things to keep in mind. So here, we're probably not going to block this. But if, once again, if we had one of these Angels flipped, we could have just said no blocks and not taken any damage. So the Boltyn player has a couple options here. The Prism has exhausted most of their threats. So you only have 1 Pauper left in your deck, unfortunately. So you can block out until you find the last Pauper. Blocking the first Herald is always good. Blocking the second Herald is less good. The Prism player is doing a good job of sending the blue Herald first here, because we want to throw more damage on the second attack. The only issue with this is it's like harder to beat Paupers because we can't footsteps and keep going, but we've already seen enough Paupers that I think it's pretty reasonable to do this. Eventually, though, we might draw 1 Herald hand, which is where the Boltyn player can get a little bit of tempo back. So, so this is good. We have this Tenacity. This is why I really like Tenacity in these kind of decks. Because now we're going to be able to guarantee an on hit. So, yep, just take the damage here. So with Rapture gone, we can start. Sorry, with Halo gone, Boltyn can now use our Angels as more on hits for like stuff like Snatch. So that's important to note as well. Also, look how thin the Prism's deck is kind of getting here. It's already pretty thin. So it's about the size of the graveyard. So Boltyn can definitely pivot to a more fatigue strategy from here. Um, if you're able to block out. And that's where getting the D-Rex and Arsenal can be really helpful, because now you can start blocking these Heralds of Triumph or Heralds of Erudition that come through. So we're going to block with a V here. V is really good in this matchup. This is why I really don't like blocking with Tunic earlier. You kind of had to because it's Erudition, but this just kind of shows you why keeping armor that can cover Erudition is so important, or trying to keep a direct in Arsenal. Because Tunic with these V turns is really how Boltyn can win this matchup. Because a Tunic V here, followed by like a Snatch into like Raiden, can really be backbreaking from this point. Interesting to note, because right, because Victoria came in, this is definitely good. Um, and then this comes in for 2 as well. Um, this Raiden comes in for 3. So Raiden's gonna come in for a full 3 value. We need to kill Pierce Reality. Because we're out of poppers, Pierce Reality represents 2 value every single turn it's on board. So we just need to kill this. This needs to go. So 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 here, luckily, life totals are still pretty even. We're not doing that bad of a job. So yeah, this is where things kind of go off the rails. So by not killing this Pierce Reality, we're falling massively behind in tempo. I think if we're able to kill this Pierce Reality, every Herald will come in for breakpoints. So you can just always give 2 cards and then throw 2 cards back. And so your 2-card play is like, 0 for 3, 0 for 4 into Raiden. So we're doing 6 damage, they're doing 6 damage. And we're kind of waiting for our poppers or a pop-off turn. Doesn't feel great, but we can eventually wait for them to draw a 2 Herald hand. Or, sorry, a 1 Herald hand. Or a Prism is very prone to bricking, so they can draw either a non-yellow hand, they can draw a hand with only 1 Herald. And so at this point in the game, I think that's kind of our win condition as Boltyn is. Here, I hate giving up Rapture. I hate giving up Rapture. There is pretty much no on-hit of this. So giving up Rapture, I don't know why we're giving up Rapture. There's like, we're just trying to efficiently use pitch, which is just really bad. Rapture can provide so much value and so much tempo. Just a huge, huge mistake. Here, in my opinion. We also have no soul, so yeah, this is a massive, massive punt for the Prism. So you pretty much never give it Rapture in this matchup. That was just a vanilla 3 damage. There wasn't much reason to block it, especially when he only has 1 popper left in deck. We don't need to be playing 2-card hands to play around poppers. There's only 1 left in deck. So now, as a Boltyn player, because Rapture is gone, we really don't care about these Heralds that much anymore. So here, I think there's 2 lines. I think one line is simply to block 8, and then to swing our Raiden at the Pierce Reality, which is totally fine. Because Rapture is gone, this matchup is super winnable from this point. So the other option is to say no blocks and to race from this point. So we simply are racing, we're going to charge cards, and we're going to try to kill them in the next turn or 2. Because they can't flip for free. So they're at 13 life. If you're able to charge 2 cards with, charge 1 with our V of the Vanguard, let's say. So pitch 1, charge 1, and then go super wide. Right, we can go V for 4, Raiden for 4, throw another attack for 4 or 5. We can basically represent, what is that, 13 damage this turn? So that's pretty reasonable. Looks like what Josh is going to do. I also definitely don't hate just going next and killing the Pierce Reality so things don't get out of control. But you can see, once again, Prism's deck is getting quite small. There is a real chance to count the Heralds in deck. If there's 30 Heralds, that means they're kind of fatigued. Prism normally runs like 32, 33 heralds. So once you get them past 20 heralds, they are going to run it incredibly, incredibly low. So that's something to be aware of. So this is good. We're going to charge this for 4. But yeah, you can see now where Prism losing Rapture, on that turn, you could have just flipped for free and gotten 4 life. And you could have not cared about blocking this. But now, as Prism, like Prism from that situation, if they have Rapture, they're never losing this game from this point. But now because we've lost Rapture, there's actually a real chance we can die. So, banish for go again. Also, something to be aware of is this game, we could have kept our Snapdragons alive with one of the lines I mentioned earlier, or we would have an extra soul. I think it's important to note we have one Celestial Cataclysm left in our deck. I think actually that's probably not going to be used as a popper, and that might just be used to try to kill our opponent. So here we get a nice attack for 5. This is really good. They're going to use a Soul Shield on defense here. Cover 1. Four at the Prism player. So Prism goes to 5. So from this point, because Prism's only holding 2 cards in hand, so Prism's only holding 2 cards in their hand right now and is not floating any resources. So the most they can do is block with Footsteps for 1. And they probably should have blocked Footsteps for 1 here. So Prism's just leaving an entire life on the table, most likely. Something to be aware of. So this, now because Prism's at such low life totals, should go face. Because this is only coming in for 4 damage, which will put Prism to 1. Prism at 1 is incredibly, incredibly close to dying. So this should always go face, because Prism has a 2-card hand here, and so the most Prism can do is throw a Herald for 9. Most of the time, Prism's not going to be able to do that. Prism's only going to be able to throw a Herald for probably 7 or 8. So putting them to 1 without Rapture means that they can't flip. So all Prism's going to be able to do, throw a Herald, let's say they throw it for 9, worst case scenario. You give them 1 card, you go to 3 life, and you have a 3-card hand with Raiden to try to kill them. And Prism cannot flip for Rapture. So they're basically at 1, and they're going to have an incredibly hard time blocking you out. You can throw an attack. They're going to have to pretty much activate Prism on defense using a card. You're able to swing Raiden and take 2 more cards from their hand. Prism's going to have a 1-card hand, and it's not going to be able to do anything. And you should win the game from this point as the Raiden player, assuming you draw a functional hand. Unfortunately, killing this Pierce Reality, it's kind of past that point. We should have killed it earlier, but because we haven't, we just need to go face at this point. Because Prism on a 2-card hand can't really do much. So that's just something to be aware of. Prism on a 2-card hand can't do much. Unfortunately, this is Prism's best 2-card hand, which is Erudition. And so, yeah, this is, unfortunate. It is what it is. This definitely happens. So, I mean, this would have come in for, right, this would have come in for 6, 8 to dominate, so we would have had to block 3, and, well, we wouldn't have had to block at all. We could have gone to 1, but then we would have died to this Ravages, so we would have had to block 3 and go to 4, basically. And then with the 2 cards in hand, Prism probably will flip and swing Arcane, forcing us to block another card. And so, honestly, from this point, it just works out that the Prism exactly has Erudition. Any other card, we're probably doing okay here. But yeah, I do like the Beacon line, going for lethal with Beacon. That's really good. So we are forced to block 3 here. But yeah, had we attacked for 4, it would have been a lot easier to try to Beacon for lethal, because they would have been at 1. And so beaconing for lethal when they're at 1 is a lot easier than beaconing for lethal when they're at 5. So yeah, that's why Pierce Reality, basically killing that, represents, we could have sent 4 damage at them, and we sent, and it would have cost 2 damage at us. So it's important to note here, right, where this is coming in for 6. So we're forced to block this. Unfortunately, we block with a 2 block. I think, I can't see what the other 2 cards in his hand are. It's what is it? Goblet. So this puts us guaranteed dead if they're ever able to hold 2 cards. So if Prism's ever able to hold 2 cards, we're guaranteed dead to Ravages. So probably would have been better blocking with. It probably would have been better to block for 5 on that attack and take 1, and then simply just swing Raiden and ask them if they want to respect it. And then when we can beacon and try to get lethal, we can take a card from their hand. So from here, yeah, that's what we talked about. This is just Ravages for lethal, and that's the game. So let's go back to those last few turns and see if we could, if by sending damage face, if we can actually win this game. So if we send damage face here, Prism has to hold a 2-card hand because it's Erudition. So Prism would be at 1 life. Here we would basically could do the exact same thing, where we have one of 2 options. Our opponent can flip Ravages and swing for 2 Arcane, which I think is the correct line. So we would be at 4 life. Ravages would swing and put us to 2 life with the Arcane. And we can give a 3 block, put them to go to 1. And then we can, honestly, we probably can just block 5. Because what do we block? We block the Via the Vanguard here. Yeah, we can block with the Via the Vanguard. We can basically block 5 on that and stay at 2 if we would like. Or we can keep the Goblet, but the Goblet doesn't do us any good. So just something to keep in mind. It's kind of unfortunate we draw the Goblet. But our opponent's at 1. So now we can swing Raiden and threaten Beacon. And they are forced to... how much soul do we have? We have 8 soul. So, funny enough, if they flip and swing Ravages, which they should do, we can swing Raiden, a naked Raiden, and they have to actually, for them to not die to Beacon, they have to pre-commit Footsteps and a 3 block. If they don't do that, we'd actually kill them. I'm sorry, no, they flip, what they should do is they should flip and swing Ravages, and put us to 2 Arcane, and have Ward 4 on the board. So we can swing Raiden, and then the Prism should win every time. Because if you Beacon for 8, they just burn another card from their soul, and then they have Ward 8, and they cover the Raiden. They don't die. However, important to note, as the Boltyn player, you haven't lost the game. Because you've now killed the Ravages, and so Prism has a 3-card hand, and they have a 3-card hand in which they try to kill you, and you have like a Goblet or something in your arsenal, or you just blocked 5 and stayed at 2 life. So Prism has a 3-card hand to try to kill you, and you are now operating at 2 life. So it's 1 to 2, and you can then block 6 on a Herald, and then use a 2-card hand to come back and try to win the game. And you probably do win the game from that point. So that's how the game would probably proceed from that point, is they flip, swing Ravages for 2, you swing Naked Raiden, they say no blocks, you banish for 8 soul, they're forced to, or you could even banish for 5 soul, because they don't have a direct as an instant. You could banish for 5 soul or banish for 8 soul. But they're forced to flip Ravages to prevent it, and then you can't die to Arcane on the next turn. And it's cost them soul from their hand, because they've used 1 soul here to flip, 1 soul here to swing, and then another soul, so they'd be out of soul. So that's probably the line that I would have taken as the Boltyn player, is sending the Light the Way face. If the Prism proceeds in the way they did this turn, where they instead, we're at 4 life here, they throw Protection, we can now just block 5 again, take 1 damage, so we go down to 3, and now we're not dead to Ravages, and we can still do the bolt. We can still throw Raiden, and at this point we should win the game because they're at 1, we're at 3, and they're essentially at 2. But we can swing Raiden and pump it for 8, and they can't do anything about it. So they'd have to give us a 3 block, pre-commit a 3 block, and then flip an Angel as well. So they'd only have a 2-card hand to come back at us with. Obviously, Pierce Reality is still on the board, so their 2-card hand they might end up getting there, but that's just some of the ways the end of the game could have gone. I think if we send the 4 damage face as the Boltyn player, we're probably winning the game. But yeah, hopefully this is insightful. I think I think the big misplays from the Boltyn side is maybe using a little bit extra soul and not getting the Spirit of Irina out a little bit earlier, um, which kind of cost us using our Snapdragons. Um, and then our sequencing on that Lumina turn from the Boltyn player, we end up leaving extra damage on the field. I think we lost about 3 damage that turn because we sent an attack into the Angel and then we sent an attack face. Um, we did cycle the Bolt into a new card, which basically we just used our Bolt of Courage to cycle a new card, which I think is okay. Just something to be aware of. I'm not an expert on that one, but just something to consider on that turn is maybe we just send the Bolt face and we throw the Luminous down. So that one I would love to talk about more with maybe Josh and kind of see his reasoning because I'm not an expert on Boltyn. Um, but just something to keep in mind is when you attack an angel and then you attack the face, it's not ward 1, it's still ward 4. So usually it's better to either kill the angel with damage or just swing face. And it's usually not good to like parse your damage and leave the angel alive. From the Prism player, the massive mistakes, we left Halo around. We pretty much wasted our Halo for very, very minimal value. For pretty much actually 0 value at all because we just turned a 3 block. What would have been a 2 block into a 3 block. So we used it for 1 value and a soul. So we pretty much wasted our Halo this game. And we left about anywhere between 2 to 3 angel flips on the field with wasting our Rapture. If we had not sacrificed Rapture this game is not even close at the end. If we have Rapture alive, we are never in risk of losing this game to the Boltyn player. So throwing away Rapture is a huge blunder, and then we probably left 2 to 3 free flips on the table earlier in the game when it was totally safe and totally reasonable just to flip an angel for 4 life because they either couldn't clear it because they had blocked their whole hand and we'd have a lot more tempo. So and we then later on in the game we were forced to pitch an entire card to flip our angel. So I think we left probably 10 to 12 value, maybe even more, maybe 15 value on the field as the Prism player. I would say at least 4 from the Rapture, maybe more. Another 3 from the Halo, and another 3 from each of the Angel flips. So that's like 9, 13. Probably 13, let's ballpark it around 13 value from the Prism player on the table this game, which in a tighter match will just be the difference between you winning and losing. So hopefully this is an informative video that can help you improve. Yeah, we'd love to talk and discuss more of these lines in depth. But yeah, that's all for me. Hopefully this is helpful.